Hi, I'm Lou Scott, and this is the Geppetto Room, where you don't have to be creative to be creative. You just have to be you. Because here we're going to explain concepts, ways to make it easier for you to make transformative decisions about the way you work, the way you live, and the way you play in our state. Now today we have a guest. It's Mary Feldman, who's the Executive Director of the Parent-Child Center of Rutland County. She's going to talk about something that I think is extraordinarily transformative. Why I got her involved in this is I read a recent article in the Herald where she was commended by federal and state legislators for bringing in so much money from grants and from loans to create a new concept, a fundamental concept that's going to offer some tremendous opportunities and advantages to the community today. And that concept is one PC place, one PCC place. It's a whole brand new thing that's going to be on the campus where the daycare is. And it's extraordinary, and I want to get all the questions. Now, what happened is, when I read this article, it prompted a lot of questions on my part. I'm going to ask those questions now to Mary. And those are going to help you understand what an advantage, how awesome this is going to be for our state and our community. How you doing, Mary?
Hi, Lou. It's always nice to see you.
I have these questions. Again, it came from after reading the article, and everybody commended. In fact, I heard even Representative Walsh called you, and officers from Sanders' office were all impressed with the idea that you were able to get the money and you were able to get the loans and the grants for this concept. Now, I want to understand the concept. So I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
And you can answer them any way you want, but be clear about it because I think it's a tremendous opportunity. It's a transformative organization, transformative things that you're doing. It's going to be happening at one PCC place. Let me ask you the first question. The concept is based on some proven concept, social concept called 2Gen. What is 2Gen?
So, Lou, 2Gen goes back to research in the 70s that had to do with, you may have heard of Head Start programs.
Yeah.
And Head Start was looking at how do they tackle the family. And then it sort of died out. Recently, the Aspen Institute and the Aspen Institute and Ascend Institute in Colorado did a deep dive on the research. And so they looked at what will help families long-term be successful. And so the simplest way of explaining the 2Gen concept is intentionally providing services to the child and the family, however you define family. So 2Gen has 6 Cogs that would define exactly what you're going to do. And what I did years ago when I was doing a pilot program is I looked at all of the goals that were aligned with these Cogs, and then we created a program around where could we get the best impact for the whole family. And so I can tell you what they are if you're interested.
I am interested. First of all, so you did a prototype before. You did it before, this whole concept. Okay.
Did two pilot.
And it was successful.
We did 2 pilot studies. And both of those pilot studies were successful for two things. One is, at the end of the pilot study, were children reading on grade level? And that starts at birth.
Ah.
The second outcome of the pilot were parents financially better off than they were when they started? And in a real way, not sort of like, am I making $10 more a month, but do I feel and am I doing better as our whole family unit more stable than they were when they came into the program? So that was the 2 pilot studies.
Ah, that's interesting. So when we talk about the barriers that perpetuate poverty or systemic poverty, what are those barriers and how does PCC relate to them?
So that is a terrific question. And I think that what I want to do is, if it's okay with you, I'll tell you a little bit about the Cogs, and then, because those Cogs are the barriers, right? So 2Gen looks at early childhood education. Are children getting what they need at the very start? The second is grade level programs. So children, kindergarten through 12th grade, are they on track? Are they looking at like what's next, you know? And for kindergarten, the third grade, it's are they reading on grade level? And then from there, how do we engage parents in children's learning? The other thing is post-secondary and employment pathways. So right now we have a phenomenal pilot project that we're doing in addition to this, where we're helping connect parents with employment pathways and high school students. We're trying to build the local workforce economy. The other thing is economic assets. Do parents have the concrete financial supports that they need? Do they have access to food? Do they have access to, do they need help with electric bill, a car repair? The other cog is health and well-being. So how is the family faring from a health perspective? And you wouldn't think normally, you would think that health takes place only at the hospital or at a doctor's office, but health starts at home, right? Are they eating well? Do they have exercise? Those sorts of things. And then finally, and what we consider to be our secret sauce is social capital. So do families have a network of resources that are not tied directly to wealth, but that are tied to their social connections? And how do they exploit those for positive outcomes? So that's what we're trying to accomplish. And then the next part of the question is, so what are the barriers to all those really good things, right? So what are the barriers that keep people poor? And I think that the very first thing that we need to do in this conversation is to identify what does it mean to be poor, right? Because people don't want to say, hey, I'm poor, right? You don't walk up, how you doing? I'm poor. So I think that there's a mythology around poor. And the mythology is, those people over there are poor, I'm not poor. Those people over there. And so we want to separate ourselves from that because of the stigma that's attached. So the first thing the Parent-Child Center is committed to doing is removing that stigma and educating the community about the concept of poor. Poor used to be something that took place in the inner city. And what the Brookings Institute has found in the latest round of research that they've done is that the largest growing population of poor people, I'm going to keep using that in air quotes because we haven't defined it yet, is actually in the suburbs. And in many ways, because Vermont is such a small state, in many ways all the peripheral communities, especially like urban communities, and I use urban loosely, like Rutland acts more like a suburb. So when you are tackling poverty, the first thing is you want to say, why, I like to use the word struggle. Why do people struggle financially? If you're living for that next paycheck, you are struggling.
Yeah, so struggling and poor are almost synonymous. The idea that you could be fully employed, and yet be considered poor.
Absolutely.
Or at least you don't use that word, you're struggling. You're just getting by.
You're not saving money. You don't have a college fund for your children.
Okay.
You're waiting. You don't have enough groceries to make it through the month. There's all sorts of things. If you have a minor car repair, like a flat tire, or you need new brakes, or you need inspection for your car, that'll set you back months.
On that matter, if you have no clothes to go to work with, you know, I mean, so these are all barriers
Right.
to the opportunities of your life. Interesting.
And so one of the barriers that I just want to look at. So what are these barriers? The barriers are the cost of housing, either to buy a house or to rent an apartment. Most Americans, the formula is one third of your income should go toward your housing. But that's not the truth right now. The average American who is struggling is paying at least 40 to 50% of their income on housing costs. The other thing is low wage work. So, do people in our local community have access and the education to higher paying jobs? And then more of the access goes to limited transportation. So right now we have limited transportation taking place. There is a thinner nonprofit sector, that's supported, that has, so you don't have philanthropists supporting nonprofits. So our nonprofit, a lot of our support comes from the state. So then you're tied to the state budget. And then finally, the barriers that keep people poor are, in our local community, we have a diminished tax base. We have a smaller number of people living here. And there's the mythology of, well, this is how it's always been. Those people have always been poor. And that's not true. So there's attachment to an old mythology. And what we're finding now, especially with COVID, is that there are many people who are just average people working who can't meet their basic needs. And at the Parent-Child Center and at the One PCC Place, we want to be the people who partner with all of these folks and help them get what they need to stabilize
That's what
the family.
I want to get at. What's going to happen? What will be at One PC Place?
Well, that's a big question too. So I go in my mind's eye. There are, one of the conversations that you and I had offline was, you said to me, it's not a building. So it's
Not a building.
it's not a building.
No, it offers advantages, it offers
Right.
community benefits and so forth. So what's going on in One PCC Place, what will be going on, opening in this fall,
Yes.
is a whole series of things that will attack these barriers, will alleviate these barriers in one central place.
Yes, exactly,
central
one place.
Okay, one place, so One PCC Place. All this is going to happen, but what's going to happen? Give me some
So,
specifics.
I'm gonna tell
And
you.
What are some of the benefits?
So there are many buildings around town that exist. And so this isn't just another building, this is a community. This is an intentional community that is designed to lift the family up and to stabilize the family with a plethora of resources. So many resources. And it's a place, you've seen Cheers, right, where everybody knows your name. You want to go where everyone knows your name, and you walk in the building, you're treated with dignity, and you're coming home. And One PCC Place is a home that will house all of these resources. So, the
What
resources,
other resources?
high quality early childhood education, so children will leave our program kindergarten ready.
Ah,
There is an extraordinary food pantry that's led up by Jolene Durfee. And in our food pantry, we're providing high-quality, nutritious foods for people that include fresh produce, recipes.
I heard once that right now you're delivering almost 50,000 meals.
We're doing 47,000 meals per month for take-home. But
Wow.
this has a state-of-the-art kitchen that will be doing 2,000 hot meals weekly when we're at our peak. That's a
Wow.
lot. Those are cooked meals for people in community while they're dropping their children off.
3,000.
2,000, and providing, again, a place. So we have, one of the facets of this building is a place called the Gathering Room. So our dining area is called the Gathering Room, and it's where people just come in and sit down and grab a cup of coffee. Coffee's always on, soup is always on. So that's a big thing. We're always going to have soup and salad available for people who want to come and meet. And we want to anticipate through a floating case manager, right, crises before they happen. So if you know your car is on the fritz, right, or that we're there and we're saying, okay, we're going to connect you with what you need. Some other things that are there, Lou, are we are recovery friendly. So we're planning on offering partnerships in the community where perhaps we can offer childcare during meetings. We have living rooms for early childhood intervention. So instead of going into sort of a clinical setting, the family goes in and can have this in a family-based setting. We have expanded childcare slots for infants and toddlers. We are offering a developmental childcare room. But the big thing here is not just the stuff that we're offering, right? The big thing is it's a place for people, one place to get everything you need. And so we're partnering with the community. We're developing the workforce. We have a high school program. We have, we are planning on doing a teaching kitchen. So it's just one place for everything.
It's an interesting thing too. It sounds to me that rather than be going to a clinic and so forth, these various places in one place, what you're really doing for these families is you're giving them a home,
Yes,
a sense of confidence, a sense of belonging, a sense that they're not just a case, but they're a people. Okay, they are people. And even the psychological advantage of all these physical things are really a great emphasis on these people in one place one PCC place.
Correct.
Fascinating. So the benefits are broad.
And I think you hit the nail on something. I think that we need to reconsider, where does health and wellness start, right? And so health and wellness has to do with things like, do you get some fresh air? So we have community gardens. We have a nature-based playground. There's a beautiful porch that's going to go around the building for people to sit and be together and solve their problems. We all have problems. It's part of being a human being.
And right on the campus, where you can, one PCC place is really where your daycare center is also.
Yeah, our child care center is right there on the campus. And I think I don't know off the top of my head how many slots we have, but almost 100 children. And then an after-school program for school-age children that is nature-based. And also, even though this is the new building, we serve the entire community. So we serve the entire county, Rutland County. There are 66,000 people in this county that will have access to a place that will help them live their best life and participate in the economy, get jobs, stabilize the family.
Make it easier for them to really, I like your theme, easier for them to eliminate or remove the barriers of poverty. That
Yes.
barrier, whether it's a working poverty or however you describe it, the barriers that don't give you a full existence in your life that you deserve.
Right.
It's coming home to one PCC place. That's it. So what are any other community benefits?
I think that one of the things that I'm developing right now are partnerships with other members, other sectors. For instance, employers might want to come in and set up in our gathering room and have a table for hiring. Employers might want to connect with us as a social service EAP, where we can support, long-term employment for their employees who have families. And the other thing I think is very important is, everyone knows there's an aging population in Vermont. At our 2-Gen Center, there is a place for, seniors to participate in this community and sharing their wisdom and knowledge and expertise to come in as well. Everyone is welcome.
So you have in one place, one PCC place, you have all these benefits, all that reach out for all kinds, everybody in the community, from the old to the young, to families, to singles and so forth. A place to come home to, really, and have your problems solved, or at least helped solve them. I like the whole idea that it's consolidated. It's
Yes.
consolidated.
One of the things people complain about all the time, Lou, is that when you are struggling, or the working poor, or poor, however you want to define your relationship to the federal poverty guidelines, they say that, and it's a legitimate complaint. One, I don't have the time to go to all these different meetings with all these different case managers, right? Two, I don't want to take help away from somebody who really needs it. Well, you really need it. We all need help. But the other thing is that they don't want to be re-traumatized telling their story over and over again. Well, I can't pay my bills because X, Y, and Z happened. And every time you have to tell that story, you have to relive that. At the Parent-Child Center, what we want to do is connect individuals or families with one case manager who then negotiates with all of those other case managers out in the field. That's their beacon, right? And I think that's dignified, and we want people to feel the dignity when they come in.
One of the things about a consolidation to me, all in one place, is that from when you pass the ball along to various different experts, you're not going to miss the ball. Everybody's aware. You're not
Yes.
going to repeat things over and over again. You don't have to start all over again from the beginning. So you're going to have, in my opinion, much better outcomes.
Yes.
Much better outcome because everybody is coordinating effort. There's a more stronger coordination of what you want to be able to do. Your visitors, the people who are coming home to, the community coming there, are aware that everybody you're talking to are aware of the problems. They repeat them, and they consolidate. I just see the idea of when you get passed along, people drop the ball. Happens all the time in all kinds of organizations. But here in one place, offering all these social advantages, okay, to eliminate poverty, you're going to, I have to say, you're going to get much better efficiency.
Yes.
much better outcomes.
Yes.
And you're going to have successes.
Yes.
Successes in one PCC place. The consolidation is an amazing thing. And all the services you offer. It's very exciting.
I think, Lou, that is such a salient point, and I appreciate you pointing that out. It's a huge point, because I think about how people fall through the cracks for opportunities all the time,
Yeah.
just because things weren't coordinated right, or they couldn't get to the 5th appointment in 1 week. So if they have one person working with them to help negotiate all these other things, those, you're going to have better outcomes, like you're saying. And I'll give you an example of this. You know, when I lived in Florida, there was an energy rebate that every family got for their air conditioning as opposed to their heat. So what happened is so many families didn't fill out that rebate because they didn't know how to do it. So instead of there being 50 appointments with 50 case managers, we got everybody together. We had one case manager meet with a crowd of 50 people. Everyone had supported each other in filling it out, and the case manager led one session. And in 1 hour, I got 50 of the energy applications filled out.
Wow.
Instead of 50 hours.
Wow.
And it was wonderful. And then after families learned how to do it, they did it on their own the next year because they knew how to do it. They were trained in it.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
How do you see this, if at all? Does it connect to COVID at all? Or does it have, or just something just occurred to me, does it connect in any way with the situation, the pandemic?
Yes, it does. And here's why.
How?
Well, so I'm a firm believer in timing. Like, things happen when they're supposed to happen, in a sense. And it took us 4 years to get this funding. It was a long 4 years. And the timing is right. Because as we're starting to slowly creep out of the pandemic, what we're going to see is the fallout from the pandemic. So now that we're getting to a place where we're all getting vaccinated and we're hoping to return to a place of social health, we have to look at what's been the collateral damage of COVID. The children, the families losing access to, like, the regular people in our
see.
community who had jobs before COVID. You know, the economy's changed.
So
and-
the timing is perfect. The idea that when COVID somehow gets succumbed and it gets over with somewhat,
Yes.
you're going to have this fallout. And here's this place that can
Yes.
pick up this fallout
Yes.
in a very transformative way,
Yes.
highly transformative way.
And Lou, we describe ourselves at the PCC as a transformative community. So we are trying to do things from a slightly different angle to have better outcomes for family that are more immediate. Somebody always says to me, Mary, you move so fast, you move so fast. And I say, there's no, living in poverty and struggling with poverty has a sense of urgency attached to
Yeah,
it. You can't wait years to fix it.
One PCC place opening, will bring area to come take people in this fall, with all these facilities, all these services and so forth. Give me just some of the highlights you think, a summary of what we're going to be offering. What do you want the people to take away from this? And I also want you to tell me also where, if they want more information now, where they have to go.
Sure. Lou, I think my biggest takeaway, I have a lot, so first of all, I always think it's important to have gratitude, right? So these amazing things are going to happen in our community, and I'm very grateful to every single person and every single organization, the USDA, you know, everyone who has participated in this. There's a lot of gratitude for all these good things. This is transformative for the state of Vermont. It's not just transformative in the community. This is a rare opportunity of an influx of monies that will be used to have immediate impact on this community. So I think it's going to boost the local economy. I think it is going to help to cultivate a workforce long-term. I think it's going to be, most importantly, help people have their absolute best lives. I think that children are going to be reading on grade level. There's going to be a deeper sense of shared community with the staff. And Parent-Child Center doesn't say staff member, client. We say staff member, program participant, We're all in community together. We just have a different place on the circle. So I think that this is going to help reinvigorate Rutland.
I think you not only, I see what you just said, it's not only a social advantages, it's really economic advantages because that the state is facing. I think if you can reach children like that and families, they're going to tend to stay.
Yes.
They're going to tend to recruit jobs. They could tend to be more fulfilling as citizens of the state of Vermont. It might even draw people to the state, the younger people to the state, because we have this facility.
We're actively
help.
recruiting out of state.
And I see also probably going to be hiring more people. So the idea that you're not only making a social contribution from a social standpoint, you're making an economic contribution to the overall problem, the demographic problem actually, that Vermont faces. You might be keeping people here, keeping youth here, who will be opening business and becoming employees and so forth like that. It has a far-reaching kind of opportunity, this one PCC place. It's fascinating.
You know, again, Lou, another great point you made. I mean, that's a phenomenal point. And I think that people often look at poverty from how does it impact the poor person, right? So, oh, you're helping the poor. No, we're helping everyone. If I were a legislator.
Say it again. What are we doing?
So I think
we're not helping the poor. We're helping everyone.
Exactly. And I think that if you look at this as, like, if I were an employer, if I were a legislator, if I were a philanthropist, everyone benefits from this because everyone benefits from when everyone does well, everyone benefits.
One PCC place. Okay. I want to thank you. I'm looking forward to it. We'll have to talk again. The one PCC place is going to be opening this fall. If you want any more information, where would they go?
The best place to go, a lot of the community relies on social media, so we are really active on our Facebook page. If you go to the Parent-Child Center of Rutland County on Facebook, we have case managers who are managing our Facebook 24 hours a day. There are people on.
So you can go anytime. You can contact, want more information, don't wait until the time. If you're interested in his services and so forth, I think everybody has to be interested in it. You don't have to wait until the fall when it opens. One PCC place. It's going to offer these transformative, as I said these transformative advantages, not only for everybody, not the poor, not the rich, everybody. The state. It's an economic transformative advantage from an economic standpoint and from a social standpoint. And that's it for today. Let me just end with the idea that keep up wearing your masks, keep your distance, wash your hands, get your vaccines. It's all being done. We're all making tremendous advantages, and we can look forward to one PCC place coming this fall. I'm very excited about the whole thing, and I think you should be too. I'm Lou Scott. This is the Geppetto Room, where you don't have to be creative to be creative. You just have to be you. Until next time.